The harder you try to control life, the faster it slips through your hands. Most people spend their entire lives forcing things. Forcing success. Forcing relationships. Forcing happiness. Forcing themselves to become someone else. But the strange part is, the more we chase, the more exhausted we become. Ancient Taoist philosophy teaches something completely opposite to modern society. That peace, clarity, and even power appear when we stop resisting life. Not through laziness, not through weakness, but through learning when to stop fighting against the natural flow of things. Lao Tzu believed that nature already knows how to move. A tree grows without force. Water flows without struggle. And yet both are more powerful than anything rigid. So maybe the problem is not that life is against you. Maybe you're simply holding on too tightly. In this video, we'll explore the Taoist art of letting go, and why releasing control may be the very thing that finally sets you free. The first lesson Taoism teaches us is the art of non-forcing. Most human suffering begins the moment we try to force life into becoming what we think it should be. We force conversations long after the connection has already faded. We force relationships that no longer feel alive. We force ourselves to remain strong when we are secretly exhausted. We force happiness while carrying sadness underneath. And perhaps most painfully of all, we force ourselves to become the version of ourselves that other people expect. Modern society worships effort. It praises hustle, constant movement, constant productivity, constant ambition. We are taught that stopping is dangerous. Rest feels guilty. Silence feels uncomfortable. Stillness feels like failure. From a young age, people are conditioned to believe that their worth depends on performance. How successful are you? How attractive are you? How productive are you? How much money do you make? How many people admire you? And because of this, many people never truly relax. Even during moments of rest, their minds remain restless. The body sits still, but the mind continues running. Taoism offers a radically different perspective. It suggests that excessive effort often pushes us further away from peace. That forcing life may actually disturb the natural intelligence already present within it. Nature never struggles to become itself. The moon does not compete with the stars. Flowers do not compare themselves to other flowers. A river does not panic about reaching the ocean. And yet, everything is accomplished perfectly. This is the heart of Wu Wei. Effortless action. Not inactivity. Not laziness. But action that flows naturally instead of violently. Many misunderstand this concept because modern culture glorifies aggression. People think strength means domination, control, pressure, endless striving. But Taoism sees strength differently. A tree that is too rigid snaps in the storm. A branch that bends survives. Water appears soft, yet over time it shapes mountains. Softness is not weakness. Softness is adaptability. And adaptability is one of the deepest forms of intelligence. Think about how many problems in life become worse the more we force them. The harder you try to sleep, the more awake you become. The harder you try to appear confident, the more unnatural you feel. The harder you chase happiness, the more anxious you become about losing it. Many things in life only appear naturally when there is space for them to emerge. Love is one of them. You cannot force genuine connection. You cannot demand emotional closeness. You cannot manufacture trust through pressure. Real connection grows quietly, like a plant. It needs patience, space, time, and care. And yet people often destroy relationships through fear. Fear of abandonment. Fear of rejection. Fear of losing control. So they become possessive, overprotective, controlling. But the tighter we hold something, the more fragile it becomes. A bird held too tightly cannot breathe. Sometimes love survives not because two people hold on to each other desperately, but because they allow each other freedom. Taoism teaches that allowing is often more powerful than forcing. After conflict, space can heal more effectively than endless arguments. After heartbreak, silence can reveal truths that emotional chaos hides. After disappointment, Acceptance can restore peace faster than resistance. Nature repairs slowly, but honestly. And perhaps this is one of the hardest lessons for modern people to accept. Not everything can be controlled. No matter how carefully we plan life, uncertainty always remains. A relationship can change unexpectedly. Health can change suddenly. Dreams can collapse overnight. People can leave without warning. Human beings desperately search for certainty because certainty feels safe. But Taoism reminds us that life itself is movement. Everything changes. Day becomes night. Summer becomes winter. Youth becomes age. Strength becomes weakness. Success becomes failure. And failure sometimes becomes wisdom. Life moves in cycles whether we accept it or not. The problem is not change itself. The problem is our resistance to change. Most people suffer because they try to freeze life into permanence. They want relationships never to change. They want youth to last forever. They want success without decline. Pleasure without pain. Growth without discomfort. But existence does not work this way. Everything flows. And when we resist the flow of life, we create unnecessary suffering. Imagine standing in the middle of a river trying to stop the current with your hands. Eventually exhaustion arrives. Not because the river is cruel, but because resistance consumes energy. Many people are exhausted not because life is impossible, but because they are fighting reality itself every day. They fight aging, fight uncertainty, fight emotions, fight loneliness, fight the present moment. Their entire existence becomes tension. But Taoism suggests another possibility. What happens if we stop fighting every wave? What happens if we stop demanding that life obey our expectations? Perhaps peace does not come from controlling existence. Perhaps peace comes from learning how to move with it. This does not mean becoming passive. It means becoming flexible. Flexibility is one of the greatest survival skills in nature. Grass survives storms that destroy mighty trees. Water survives because it adapts to every shape. Clouds move because they do not cling to one form forever. Rigid people often break under pressure because they cannot adapt to change. Flexible people endure because they know how to bend without losing themselves. And this flexibility also applies psychologically. Many people carry identities that no longer serve them. They cling to old versions of themselves. Old pain, old beliefs, old failures, old insecurities. Someone insulted them years ago, and they still carry the wound. Someone rejected them once, and now they fear intimacy forever. One mistake becomes an identity. But Taoism encourages fluidity. You are not required to remain who you were yesterday. Life is transformation. The river is never the same river twice. And you are never the same person twice either. Yet society constantly pressures people into fixed identities. Be this. Achieve that. Follow this path. Fit this image. And because people fear judgment, they betray their own nature trying to satisfy others. Entire lives become performances. People smile while unhappy, pretend confidence while insecure, pretend fulfillment while emotionally empty. Modern culture often teaches people how to appear successful, not how to feel peaceful. But Taoism asks a simpler question. What if peace matters more than appearance? What if a quiet life filled with meaning is more valuable than endless competition? Many people chase status because society convinced them that status equals worth. But high status often comes with invisible suffering. The higher people climb, the more pressure they experience. More expectations, more comparison, more fear of losing position. The tallest trees catch the strongest wind. Taoism never glorified excess ambition. Not because achievement is evil, but because obsession creates imbalance. A person obsessed with wealth becomes poor in tranquility. A person obsessed with validation becomes dependent on strangers. A person obsessed with control becomes imprisoned by anxiety. This is why Taoism values simplicity. Simplicity creates freedom. The less you desperately need, the lighter you move through life. Modern consumer culture constantly trains people to desire more. More money, more followers, more attention, more possessions, more recognition, and because desire constantly expands, satisfaction never arrives. The mind always says, just one more thing. But there is no final thing. Desire without awareness becomes endless hunger. Taoism does not say possessions are wrong. It simply asks, at what point do possessions begin possessing you? At what point does ambition stop serving your life and begin consuming it? Many people own beautiful houses but cannot sleep peacefully. They own expensive things but live with constant stress. They appear successful externally while internally exhausted. The Taoists observed that excess eventually becomes poison. Too much work becomes burnout. Too much pleasure becomes emptiness. Too much control becomes fear. Too much stimulation becomes numbness. Balance matters. Nature itself operates through balance. There is day and night, activity and rest, expansion and contraction, yin and yang. But modern society often encourages only one side. Constant doing. People become addicted to movement because stillness forces self-awareness. Silence becomes uncomfortable because silence reveals unresolved emotions. Many people are not afraid of silence itself. They are afraid of what silence might show them. Distraction becomes escape. Phones, music, social media, constant entertainment, constant information. The modern mind is overstimulated but undernourished. People consume endlessly yet feel emotionally empty. Taoism invites us back toward stillness. Not to escape life, but to reconnect with it. When the mind becomes quiet, clarity slowly returns. You begin noticing how many unnecessary struggles dominate your life. How many arguments were meaningless. How many desires were borrowed from others. How many fears were imagined. The Taoists believe muddy water clears naturally when left undisturbed. The human mind works similarly. When constantly agitated, clarity disappears. But when stillness returns, understanding emerges naturally. This is why solitude can become powerful. Not loneliness, but conscious solitude. Moments where no performance is necessary. No comparison. No noise. Just awareness. In silence, people often rediscover themselves. And perhaps this is why nature feels healing to so many people. Forests do not demand anything from you. Mountains do not judge you. The ocean does not care about your social status. Nature allows people to exist without performance. And deep down, many people are exhausted from performing constantly. They want permission to simply be. Taoism gives that permission. It says you do not need to force yourself into unnatural shapes to deserve peace. You do not need to win every competition. You do not need to impress everyone. You do not need to control every outcome. You only need to learn how to live in harmony with reality instead of against it. And perhaps one of the deepest Taoist teachings is trust. Trust does not mean believing life will always feel pleasant. Pain still exists. Loss still exists. Grief still exists. Taoism never denies suffering. But it teaches that suffering multiplies when combined with resistance. Pain says, "This hurts." Resistance says, "This should not be happening." And often, the second wound becomes larger than the first. Acceptance does not magically erase pain, but it prevents unnecessary psychological war. Many painful experiences in life eventually reveal hidden meaning. Failure teaches humility. Heartbreak teaches depth. Loneliness teaches self-understanding. Loss teaches gratitude. Some of the experiences people once begged to avoid later become the experiences that transform them most deeply. Life is strange that way. What initially appears destructive sometimes becomes redirection. A closed door forces a new path. An ending creates space for another beginning. Periods of emptiness prepare the ground for renewal. But people rarely notice this while desperately clinging to the past. The mind constantly asks, what if everything goes wrong? Taoism gently responds, what if life is unfolding exactly as it must? Not every delay is punishment. Not every obstacle is failure. Not every ending is the end of your story. Sometimes life removes what no longer belongs. And although painful, removal can also be mercy. A tree loses leaves before renewal. The sky releases storms before clearing. Nature constantly lets go. Human beings suffer because they try to hold on to everything forever. But permanence was never promised. And strangely enough, when we finally accept impermanence, life becomes more beautiful, because we stop taking moments for granted. A conversation becomes precious. Sunlight becomes precious. Friendship becomes precious. Ordinary moments become sacred. The present moment finally matters again. Most people live mentally trapped between regret about the past and anxiety about the future. Meanwhile, life quietly unfolds only here. Only now. Taoism repeatedly returns us to this moment. Not because the future is meaningless, but because the present is the only place life actually exists. And when we fully enter the present, something surprising happens. The mind softens. Breathing slows. The constant internal pressure weakens. For a brief moment, nothing is missing. No performance is required. No future achievement is necessary to justify existence. There is simply this moment. This breath. This experience. This life. And maybe that is the true meaning of letting go. Not giving up on life, but giving up the exhausting war against life. Letting go means loosening the grip. Releasing the obsession with control. Trusting that not every wave must be resisted. Some answers arrive slowly. Some wounds heal naturally. Some doors open only after surrender. And maybe the peace you are searching for is not hidden somewhere far away. Maybe it appears the moment you stop forcing everything. Maybe life does not need more pressure from you right now. Maybe it needs more trust. More patience. More silence. More awareness. More acceptance. The Taoists believed that people suffer most when disconnected from the natural rhythm of existence. So perhaps healing begins by slowing down enough to hear that rhythm again. A quiet walk. A moment alone. The sound of rain. The movement of trees in the wind. The feeling of breathing without rushing anywhere. Small moments, yet deeply alive. And perhaps happiness was never meant to be a constant state of excitement. Perhaps real peace is quieter than that. More subtle. More grounded. More ordinary. Like sitting beside water at sunset without needing anything else for a moment. If this message resonated with you, allow yourself to slow down a little today. Not forever. Just for a moment. Take a deep breath. Step outside if you can. Listen to the wind. Watch the sky. Release one unnecessary burden from your mind. And if you enjoy these kinds of reflections about Taoism, philosophy, and inner peace, you can gently support the channel by subscribing and joining this journey with us. Not to escape reality, but to understand it more deeply. Thank you for watching.